All right. Just a real quick check on the crypto market. And then I'm going to move on to a bunch of videos on SnoozeTube and Odyssey. Solana still below 100. Took a big dip. It was getting up there. I believe it hit in the 200 range. Was it? Let me check the watch the portfolio watch list. Yeah, it hit. Wow, it hit 260. Man, I didn't think. Damn, that was all the back in November. 260. Wow. And it's sunk since then. At 92, Bitcoin at sub 40,000, 37,170. Polkadot at 18, Ethereum at 2435. It was looking at it. It might dip below 2,000, but it's been hovering in the mid 2,000s a couple days now. And at least I am mining. The mining difficulty has gone down for Ethereum, so I am definitely cha-chinging it. It's taking less time to get payouts. And I have to get one more card online, which will help out. I've got a 6600 XT, which if I'm lucky, I'll get 30 mega hash on it. But I got to get that done. These I don't know how long this bear market's going to last, but the Fed, the U.S. Federal Reserve, said they're not going to raise interest rates this quarter. Or I think didn't they? Or do they have to do it in March? But they definitely have announced they're going to raise interest rates in March. They're not doing it now. And you know, some people are saying with the U.S. Fed Reserve interest hikes that crypto's going to get even more bear. The price is going to go down. I don't know about that. I really don't. Would think that with interest rates going up, crypto will remain strong, but we will see. Doge at 0.14, Algorand at 0.94, Cardano at 1.05, Chainlink at 15.3, XRP at 0.611, and Ergo at 3.5. Shiba Inu down slightly, 0.00002132. Alright, I'm going to move to some videos. Going to do a real big mix bag here of things. It's going to be kind of like a stream of consciousness. But let's just do it. Let me check where I'm at with the browser. Where do I want to start? That's the main thing here. Get rid of this video. Get rid of this. This is coming out January 27th. Actually, I want to check that out. Phantom. Alright, lots of videos. Let me see here. Top 20. Tells GPU looks pretty good. Camera and media blackout. Wow. All right. So we got a bunch of YouTube and a bunch of Odyssey. That'd be good if the camera was set up properly. Yo. All right. All right. We're going to start off. I'm going to belt through these videos. I'm going to start off with a quick video. I'm going to be jumping around here. But this is JS Films. I check out his stuff on YouTube. It's pretty cool. He's got RTX 3090, which is, you know, basically a workstation GPU. And he does a lot of stuff in Unreal Engine. He's doing, what is that, the meta faces, wherever it was, for Unreal Engine, the realistic faces. I actually checked out that demo. I set it up myself on my workstation that has a 3090. And it's pretty cool. I got the, basically, I hooked it up to my iPhone. So my iPhone camera was used to read my facial expressions, and then those were translated into the meta character in Unreal Engine. The lips would move the same way as, or tried to mimic what I was, my lip movement, facial expressions, and all that. And it's pretty cool. But this one is HTC Valve. He's using an HTC Valve VR headset, and he's basically going around his apartment with an superimposed virtual reality. So it completely transforms his room into a virtual space. And we're just going to check a little bit of the beginning video, and then I'll just show the actual footage from his apartment.
Hey, what's going on, guys? So Max here with another Unreal Engine video. Now, I've been making a lot of Unreal Engine 5 Archivist interior videos using Lumen, and some of y'all are wondering if something like this, like Lumen, is possible in Unreal Engine 4. So what I'm going to do in this video is go ahead and show you how to use the NVIDIA plugin, the RTX GI, and then walk around with my Vive camera like I've been doing here recently. So to download the NVIDIA RTX GI, you simply have to go to the marketplace, like always, and then search for RTX GI. So let's go here, RTX GI. Let's go here and then click on this external link right here. Supported engine version is 4.27. And then if you scroll down, agree to terms, it's gonna let you download it. Okay, go click download, save. Okay, so we have that folder where they just downloaded. I just unzipped it with a program. It's right here. And you just copy this and go to your Epic Games folder.
So that's basic. You got to get that integrated into Unreal Engine. And he does a whole bunch of setup here, which I'm not going to go through. But there's Unreal Engine here. He's configuring everything. So he's got to connect his HTC Valve. And imagine he's doing that through Wi-Fi. But they mention HDMI wireless, which I've not looked into yet. But they're saying, especially in the comments, they're saying that HDMI wireless protocol, whatever it is really fast, 1 millisecond delay. Imagine you need HDMI 2. Whatever it is. I think 2.2, whatever, 2.3, whatever the latest is. And I'm going to find, he's still setting stuff up. Let's see, I think he starts here.
Around with the Vive Pro.
Okay, so what we'll do now, again, like I said, I'm going to use the Vive Pro mounted on the shoulder rig, and then I have my phone so I don't have to kind of turn around. I have a camera set up by the monitor so I can look even though I'm not in front of the monitor, because I don't have a wireless HDMI right now. Now, as far as the Vive Pro, I did, instead of Velcroing it, I actually used a little clamp that I've had, like a monitor clamp. You can kind of see it like that. Just clamped it on that cheese plate or that bracket, whatever you want to call it, for the shoulder rig. So here is the living room. and it looks pretty nice. I did have to turn down the reflections from 4 to, I believe, 2, because my computer just was not able to handle it. And I kind of wanted like a smooth, as far as the video, I don't want it to be too jittery.
So this is
I mean, it
really
is a little
pushing
bit
his
jittery right
card,
now, like I
which
said, 'cause it's
3090 is a
pretty
very
high
powerful
quality here.
card.
And my RTX
But you
3090
need an even
is
better
over
setup,
27 frames per second
like
right
a
now.
$5,000.
So obviously
workstation
there's still
GPU to
room for improvement as far as
Get this smoother. It's only at 27
the
frames per
quality
second.
goes. So here you go. I'm gonna use my handy dandy phone so I can kind of see what I'm showing you here without looking at the screen. We do have this little table right here. You can kind of see that I showed y'all. And now I can actually walk around because I'm looking at my phone here using it as a monitor, and it works. Might have a little bit of a delay, but it's not too bad. And there's also a bedroom over there on that side that we're gonna check out. And also what I'll do is probably buy another clamp, and I'm gonna clamp this to my shoulder rig.
So the lighting, the reflections are really amazing. A lot of clarity here. But so hopefully they optimize this a little bit more, especially for, I have a similar setup to what he's got. But it's workable on a 3090. Otherwise you're looking at, you know, like a $30,000 workstation to really get this close to 60 frames per second or something like that. And he had to tone down the reflections 4 to 2. Let me get to, it's a really cool, if I can find it again. It's not here, is it? Scan in here. There it is. So this is pretty cool. The reflections off of this painting, you can see them in this black to the right, kind of off center, middle, off center to the right here is a reflection of the painting, and also on the ground. And I believe it's Lumens doesn't support that, I think. So if you're not actually looking at the painting, it doesn't render these shadows. I don't know, it seems strange, but just gonna play a little bit more here.
Reflection on the floor with screen space. You
Screen
wouldn't have been
space
able
is
to
what
see that, even on the
doesn't
right
show
side.
that.
You see that on this little black entertainment center. Some really nice reflections.
That's
there.
pretty. That's pretty realistic. I mean, it looks real.
This is absolutely beautiful, man. And again, that's just my I only have 2 trackers, live stations, so
It looks, you know, all photorealistic imaging,
but we
very
are
high
getting, like,
textures.
43
Looks
frames
real.
per second right now. Right, I'm gonna go to my phone so we can kind of walk around here. I think we're sitting on
He's
top
lucky he
of the
didn't
bed.
like knock into something and fall over.
Yeah.
But I think he's monitoring it with his camera in his left hand, I guess.
I'm
so he can-
really having fun with lighting Archviz stuff, using dynamic lighting, whether RTX GI or Lumen.
That's
But-
pretty amazing right here. The chessboard and those just washed out sun rays coming in. Those reflections look really cool. Looks very real. Looks like a New York City apartment. It costs way too much money. Gonna move on to the next video, but that was cool. That was from JS Films, and I'll put his YouTube video in the chat. You want to check that out? I'm sometime first part of this year, I might look into maybe the HTC Valve. I mean, it's $800, I think, maybe for the basic setup. That's not too bad. So I might do that. I want to start doing some VR stuff with the 3090 that I have. Even just like cool to find other people with the headsets and do virtual meetings, and start getting into that now. So that whole market is going to absolutely explode. But what is this again? It's JS Films. All right, I'm gonna move on to the next video. Biden admin torched over bombshell footage, literally breaking the law. So I just caught my eye today, so I want to check this out. Do the first couple minutes.
New video obtained by a Freedom of Information Act showing the lengths the Biden administration is taking to allow thousands of illegal immigrants into our country. Body cam video taken by a police sergeant in Westchester, New York last August showing
Wow, Westchester, New York. I know that area well.
dozens of migrants arriving on secret flights at New York's Westchester County Airport under the cover
I've
of
flown into that airport also. Not many times, but a couple times here or there. It's a very small airport. It's not. It is, whatever 1/10 the size or whatever of LaGuardia or Newark or JFK in New York City and Jersey.
darkness, something a Department of Homeland Security contractor is for very specific reasons. This is what he said.
You don't want to be somewhere where the spotlight is.
Yeah.
You want to try to keep it as down low as possible. A lot of this is just
No, I get it. I
down
just,
low
like I said,
stuff that we don't tell people. Because what we don't want to do is attract attention. We don't want the media.
Yeah.
Like, we don't even know where we're going when they tell us.
Joining us now is the man who obtained that video, former county executive of Westchester County, New York, Rob Astorino. It's great to have you, sir. So you had an idea of what might be on the video, but when you saw it, what did you think?
Blown away, but it just confirmed everything, Dana, that I had known, because I broke this actually August 13th. I had been told and heard all these flights coming in late at night. As the previous county executive, I know there was a curfew at midnight to 6 a.m. at Westchester County Airport. And these flights were coming in very late, like 2, 3 in the morning. And hundreds of unaccompanied children and adult males were getting off these planes. Now, when we questioned them, of course, the federal government, the county, and the state, what do you think happened? They called us a racist, they called us mean, blah, 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 blah. But they wouldn't answer the question. In fact, they deflected and they absolutely lied. They said the kids and these adults were not going into the communities. They are. We actually have video where they were put on buses, sent to a Costco in Port Chester right near the airport, and the adult males were just led into cars and they go. We have no idea who they are. We have no idea about their backgrounds or where they're going. There also, kids are being placed in our schools, and I feel sorry for the kids. This is not about them necessarily. This is about a broken immigration system, a federal government that is completely off the rails and out of control and lying to us, not giving us the most basic questions and answers to those. And we have a right to know, and it's that simple.
Yeah, you're exactly right about that. Dana and I said last hour that everybody knows what's going on, but when you can prove it, as we have now with the video, it makes a difference. Now, there's a lot on this tape. It runs for 51 minutes. I want to play another clip for our viewers. Listen to the key line about security on that tarmac.
so we've been having, you're on a secure facility here, and we don't really know anything, and we're in charge of security. So that's hence where we're having a problem here. So
yeah, we're hanging out here on the tarmac,
Yeah.
just like that.
I don't know anybody.
I used to pick up basketball teams that had more security.
100%. Yeah. And very easily, few people could just go that way.
Yeah. Another time he says, when we fly in the air, we never even know where we're going. How many more videos like these exist?
Probably a lot, because these flights started last April. They weren't periodically they came in. And then in the summertime, they were coming in almost every other night. And it stopped in October when we broke this and when the Post broke it and Fox broke it. And now they're infrequent, if at all. They're going to other airports, apparently. But again, these people are being relocated to places like Westchester, Long Island, the suburbs, and other states, and nobody is informed. The communities that are affected. And
you now have, in New York City, you now have illegal aliens, whatever you want to call them, migrants, basically have the right to vote in New York City now. The new mayor, Davis, who I wanna believe he's gonna be better in some ways than De Blasio, but I don't know. I mean, it's turning out more and more he may be just as worse. He's just pandering to this woke leftist agenda, politics, everything, and at the same time, because he's an ex-cop, he thinks he can promote himself by being tough on crime, and it's not going well so far in New York City, and to allowing people that are not citizens to vote in New York City. And you've got flights, Westchester County. This airport is just about 10-15 miles just north of New York City border. It's really close. Be in New York City in 20 minutes by car. So we'll see what else happens with Davis in New York City, putting a lot of resources out there. There's around 30,000 NYPD officers. Maybe there's a little less now with the whole defund the police. Maybe there are around 25,000. Who knows? But it's definitely still by far the largest police force. And a lot of what they're doing nowadays is enforcing these vaccine mandates, which, with vaccine passports you have in New York City. But the reality is that, and I'm not going to play it, but I posted a Officer Tatum video in Tuja's Discord, because he's in LA area right now and dealing with COVID passports out there. And Officer Tatum basically states in one of his latest videos, it was about the parent that got arrested with their child at a museum in New York City, and they actually got arrested for trespassing because they were protesting the COVID passports and were staying there after the museum had closed, so they got arrested for trespassing. And I believe that was happening also out in Regal Park in Queens. People were protesting the passports at an Applebee's, I believe, and I think they were getting arrested and putting in paddy wagon for trespassing, not for the passport. But it's creating an issue. People are standing up to it, making a stand, and it's using up a lot of police resources in New York City area. While crime skyrockets, people getting pushed in front of subway cars. We've had quite a few cops get shot. One died recently. There was at least 3 shootings of cops, maybe 5 in the past 2 months. So it's become a complete mess. And UK, Ireland, other countries will follow, are all lifting their COVID restrictions. So I don't know. New York City is a complete mess. I mean, the COVID restrictions, if lifted, would help the NYPD then fight the rampant crime that is taking over the city. Moving on, going to check out real quick Phantom. This is crypto stuff. Phantom is a DAG network that allows users to send and receive cryptocurrency as well as use smart contracts to interact with DApps, decentralized apps. In a sense, Phantom is a faster, cheaper version of Ethereum, but with more centralization. Well, I don't know about that, but we're just going to check a little bit of this.
Pretty cool branding when it comes to blockchains and the platforms that are built on them, but none have come near as cool as the stuff that I've seen on the Phantom network. Everything just fits this spooky atmosphere, and it's really cool to see everyone collaborating on these branded projects. Welcome to Whiteboard Crypto, the #1 YouTube channel for crypto education, and here we explain topics of the cryptocurrency world using analogies, stories, and examples so that you can easily understand them. In this video, we are going to explain what the Phantom network is, how it's different than the other Ethereum killers, and also some unique idea that they are implementing that is currently worth around $500 million, including what that means for the future of their price. So first things first, Phantom uses a DAG, and a DAG is actually not a blockchain. In a blockchain, each block contains data, but each block must also have one before it and one after it, so it's a chain. In a DAG, there are a bunch of computers in a network, and they all just kind of gossip back and forth about transactions that they have with nearby computers. Using this back and forth method, they agree on what the ledger is and what the data should be stored on them throughout time. Think of it kind of like a rumor that spreads. Now this has pros and cons, but there seems to be a few more pros. For example, the transactions are confirmed as fast as possible, instead of waiting on past transactions to be confirmed. This also increases something called finality, but we'll talk about that later. Next up, we have their consensus mechanism. So Phantom actually uses a special proof of stake model called Lachesis. Now, if you don't know what proof of stake is, definitely go check out our 2 videos on it. People seem to really enjoy them. But right now, Lachesis has only around 50-ish validators. And to become a validator, you need to stake at least 1 million Phantom coins, which is currently a lot of money. To me, this doesn't scream decentralization, but maybe that's not the most important thing to the Phantom network. One thing to note about using a DAG and their Lachesis model is that to attack the network and create fake transactions, you only need to control around 1/3 of the network, which is much less than other cryptocurrency networks. Also, you don't have to be a validator to earn rewards. As validators are very expensive to set up, you can actually delegate your Phantom coins to another validator that you trust to use them to participate in the DAG. You only need 1 Phantom coin to do this, and you can start earning delegated staking rewards. However, you must select a lockup period from 1 day to 1 year. The longer you stake your tokens, the higher the reward you can earn. Also, due to how the DAG works and the Lachesis staking protocol, the network is very fast, up to around 4,500 transactions per second. And these include basic transactions and smart contracts. Now the important thing here is the finality of the transactions. Finality is a technical term that means when it is actually confirmed. For example, on Bitcoin, it could take up to an hour. For Ethereum, it could take up to 10 minutes. And on the Phantom network, it is around 1 to 2 seconds.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name's Paul. Hopefully you're having an amazing day. I'm going to kick this video off discussing a very interesting publication from NVIDIA. Now, of course, all companies continue to conduct research in the field that they're operating within. And one of the big things that NVIDIA have been pushing, as you probably know at this point, is hardware-based ray tracing, which is a very taxing operation for a GPU to perform. Now, of course, modern GPUs
I was muted. Sorry about that.
Do have dedicated hardware blocks. We'll discuss those further in just a moment to help actually calculate how rays of light will bounce around in a scene. But this brings me to GPU subwarp interleaving. And again, this is a publication which has just appeared from NVIDIA themselves. I'd like to credit 0x22h on Twitter for the discovery, of this patent. Now, just so that we're up front, this is a very complicated topic, and it's actually something I can't really delve ultra deep into in this video because I will be here until like tomorrow kind of going through it all with you guys. However, I will go through the basics, and I want to keep this as simple to understand as possible, so it won't be 100% technically accurate, but it will give you some idea of what's happening. Of course, I will also link the original tweet as well as the publication in the video description, so if you're technically inclined, you can go through it yourself. So, the first things first, and this is really important, this is actually a hardware thing. So this is not something where they can just release a driver update and like RTX 20 is going to benefit from this. That isn't going to happen. So this, in fact, is even specified right off the get-go. It says we identify warp interleaving, sub-warp interleaving, excuse me, primary limiters, damn I can't speak today, for an NVIDIA Turing-like architecture. And now, if we read the beginning of this, ray tracing applications have high thread divergence, low warp occupancy, and are limited by memory latency. Now, notice memory latency, not memory bandwidth. That's a very important point. So, for those who don't know, graphics memory such as GDDR6, 6X, and so on, all have higher latency compared to something like DDR4 memory, which you're probably running for, say, a Zen 3 based processor. So this is something that GPUs have been dealing with for a long ass time. This higher latency can be offset via numerous things, for example, cache systems on the GPU itself, and running tons of work concurrently. But anyway, we'll get more into that in a moment. In this paper, we present an architectural enhancement called subwarp interleaving. This exploits thread divergence to hide pipeline stalls in divergent sections of low warp occupancy workloads. Subwarp interleaving allows for fine-grained interleaving execution of divergent paths within a warp, with the goal of increasing hardware utilization and reducing warp latency. Basically, they claim that this is going to be between about a 6% uptick in performance up to around 20%. Now, that might not sound huge. Let's say you're getting 60 FPS at a game. 6% up to 20%, Let's say you're getting 10%, let's just say, you know, nice round figure. That means if you get 60 frames a second, you're now getting around 66, all things being equal. But you have to remember that this is just one aspect of the architecture which will be improved. Now, I don't know whether this is going to be RTX 40 or later. However, if you're regularly watching the channel, you'll know that I have been told, and I've reported multiple times, that RTX 40 onwards have a large improvement in ray tracing performance. I'm going to try and find out whether this is part of that. But yeah, so again.
Well, so yeah, the basics of it, they're trying to reduce memory latency, so the response time for memory-related GPU issues. We'll see what happens. The NVIDIA 4000 series, they're saying may be out by the end of this year, but I don't think so. Probably next year. But it's going to be, especially the 4090 is going to be a complete power hog. Probably drawing around 500 watts just on the GPU. GPU is drawing 500 watts with heavy load. I'm going to move on. Check out some of the, we're not going to do all of them, but I want to check out some of the new, this is the top 20 open world games. We'll do a few of them. But this is from GamerRanks on YouTube.
2022 is getting a boatload of open world style games for various genres and platforms, and we've got 20 promising upcoming games we wanted to highlight here. So let's get started off with number 20. The first game is Sonic Frontiers. Yes, Sonic the Hedgehog is finally going completely open world. There's been lots of talk of it being inspired by Breath of the Wild. Honestly, what I look at here is just a playground for Sonic to go really fast. That's the name of the game, right? You want to be Sonic, you want to be free to go as fast as you can, wherever you can. I think they're onto something here with the open world thing. It doesn't feel as much like it's just another game jumping on the open world trend. Here with Sonic, I think the formula can actually make sense. You're going to be exploring the Starfall Islands, and there's going to be a bunch of different areas like forests, woods, snowy mountains, lava, and volcanoes, so there'll be a lot to mess with. We're just curious to see how it truly flows and how it plays. Next, over at number 19, we have Atomic Heart, which is dubbed by the developers as an open world action RPG. As you've probably seen this game before, we've highlighted it quite a bit. It's somewhat BioShock, System Shock inspired, but with even more of an emphasis on exploration and makeshift weapons.
This game looks like it might be pretty good. I've seen a bunch of previews of it.
and just an incredibly unique and really spooky and horrific and unsettling setting. This is like an alternate history 1950s sci-fi Soviet setting with a bunch of monsters, creatures, weird robots, and strange technology and anomalies. Not to mention the fact that the game also just looks gorgeous. I mean, look at it. It's had a lot of NVIDIA marketing behind it already with the ray tracing and all that. But from an art design and enemy design and just environment design standpoint, I'm ready to get immersed in this pretty unique looking world. I like this vibe. So we've been keeping a close eye on this one for a while now. Now, next over at number 18, we have Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora. The Avatar franchise is once again revving up its engines with James Cameron's next movie seemingly coming out soon, and Ubisoft...
This looks good too. I don't know what the name of those birds are that you can ride, but that'd be pretty cool to check out.
Is once again flexing that licensing, and we're getting a new Avatar game. People dunk on the movies, whatever. I think if anything, that world can translate really well to a video game, especially with some good ideas behind it. Will it fall to the typical trappings of, you know, the Ubisoft open world formula? Maybe. But if I could run around as a crazy blue man and do stuff and fight robots, I don't know, I'm in. I'm easy to please. We're cautiously optimistic. Let's see how this one goes. Now, next over at number 17, we have DokeV, which, as you may have seen the trailer before, this game looks wildly out of this world. Essentially, what this is a big open world action adventure monster collecting game with a little bit more of like a fun, lighthearted kiddie twist, but with a bunch of different traversal options, ways to customize yourself, a lot of social features and playing with friends, and of course, some monster battling stuff. It's funny because a lot of those elements, open world, monster collecting, all that stuff sounds pretty generic, but just with this presentation here, it really looks like unlike anything we've seen before. And I buried the lead here. It's from developer publisher Pearl Abyss, the people behind Black Desert Online, so it's got some gameplay chops behind it to back it up, hopefully, so don't write this one off. And next, over at number 16, we have Crimson Desert, which is also from the people behind Black Desert Online. This may look similar at first glance, but what it is an open-world action-adventure game RPG with non-linear storytelling. And frankly, like, it looks pretty sweet. Graphically, it's really impressive, but it also just looks incredibly vast. The world looks huge, we've seen a good amount of variety, and thankfully, some cool combat sprinkled in. A good trailer like that can definitely put...
Graphics engine looks pretty cool.
Expectations dangerously high, but given the developer publisher's pedigree, we're willing to keep an eye on this one. Next, over at number 15, we have Ark 2, the follow-up to Ark Survival Evolved, the open world multiplayer survival sandbox with like a sci-fi dinosaur twist. We're getting another one because the original was an absolute monster money machine. It had a ton of mainstream popularity.
Wow, this is the first Ark Evolved. Graphics engine was definitely a bunch of levels below this. This is it's a huge upgrade on the engine side, and it looks like it might be decent.
And this time around, seemingly Vin Diesel is on board, and we're gonna get more of an emphasis on some story type content and seemingly a bigger, crazier, more alien sci-fi feeling world. This is of course once again by Studio Wild.
That's just creepy. Vin Diesel's in the game as a character. That's a little creepy.
As of right now, we don't know too much about it, but it is slated for 2022. Now, next over at number 14, we have The Day Before, which is a pretty interesting and ambitious mashup, seemingly with some Division-style elements where you're exploring a city, you're looting, you're occasionally encountering enemies, sometimes you're encountering player enemies, but with a big dose of The Last of Us-style desperation and survival crafting.
I think this is supposed to take place in New York City.
And zombies. It also looks really gorgeous, and you know, just everything we've seen from the systems to the inventory to what you're doing moment to moment, the shooting, the third-person shooting rather, the exploration, it all seems pretty sweet. We just really want to see if it's going to come together as good as it really looks. As of right now, this open world MMO survival sandbox thing is set for June 21st, 2022. Now next at number 13, coming from a similar angle, we have State of Decay 3. Undead Labs is doing it again, and they figured out a lot with State of Decay 2 and its expansions and updates, so we're really excited to see how the whole thing will fare in a third outing, because some people really, really love this style of game. We definitely expect this one to have like the biggest open area. There's definitely seemingly been a winter theme teased. More monster.
I don't know if this is going to be Xbox only, Xbox PC only.
Types and zombies, of course, but also some animals affected by this as well. The State of Decay games are just really cool zombies. Now, next at number 12, we have Saints Row. Now, this new reboot definitely turns things on its head. If you ask me personally, I don't know where they could have went next with the Saints Row series. I've played every single one. They get crazier and crazier. So they're bringing things down to earth a little bit here, kind of ditching some of the aesthetics that a lot of the series has been known for. Some people seem not too happy with that. But on the flip side, gameplay-wise, from what we've seen, it does seem like just more crazy Saints Row zaniness. Open world third-person action, explosions, car chases, wild weapons. Next, over at number 11, we have Forspoken. This is Square Enix's interesting and ambitious new open world adventure game. Fallout New Vegas and the Outer World,
skip
stuff
that.
like that.
Gotham Knights.
The people that Batman raised and taught, because in this game, apparently, Batman is dead, so it's up to this group to team up together and fight the bad guys of Gotham City, a seemingly open world Gotham City with vehicles and stuff you can engage in, with some Arkham-style combat with new spins because of the co-op. But Dying Light 2 is a bigger, badder version of the original game with a bigger world, more storytelling, seemingly a lot of decisions to make that will shape the world around you, an emphasis on like a even more decaying world after this zombie outbreak where things have...
The whole zombie genre has definitely been played very hard. But this, I don't know, this might be decent. I want to check out Starfield. This might end up being a really good game.
Number 4, we have Starfield. This is Bethesda's next big RPG. As of the time of making this video, we still don't know too much about it other than that it is a open exploration space RPG where you can seemingly...
It's coming out November 11th this year? Wow.
Fly to different planets or explore. There is going to be combat, there is going to be RPG elements, and we're curious to see how this goes because of Bethesda behind it. Now, a lot of people have been taking issue with Bethesda over the last few years, but putting that aside, the way we look at it is that they're finally making a game that isn't Fallout or Elder Scrolls. So we're curious to see what that means. How is this going to play? Is it going to feel different? Is it going to feel very much like their other games, but in space? I don't know, but personally, I want to see those questions answered. And I think it's going to be fun just to see how this pans out. Now, next over at number 3, we have Horizon Forbidden West. This is the PlayStation exclusive follow-up to Horizon.
This is a great game. It was PlayStation exclusive, and now you can get it on PC. I'm just wondering how much. Horizon Zero Dawn. Yeah, you can pick it up for like $20 on G2A.com for the PC. And I'm probably going to do that. Just get the original game.
Horizon Zero Dawn, which was a pretty awesome game, but this one seems to really blow it out of the water with crazier graphics, more enemies, more NPCs, more cultures, more towns, more side quests, crazier moves, more of an emphasis on an ability to swim, glide, use a grappling hook. There's a lot of new stuff going on here, and I think this has the potential to turn out even better than the original. We'll find out for sure soon when it releases February 18th, 2022. Now,
wow,
next step.
February. So that's just like 3 weeks.
Now, next over at number 3, we have Horizon Forbidden West. This is the PlayStation exclusive follow-up to
Let me move
Horizon.
up to Elden Ring. Elden Ring looks pretty amazing. I was checking out some. Somebody had a preview build of the game, and it looked really good.
Now, next at number 2, you know we were going to mention it, Elden Ring, From Software's next game. The people behind Bloodborne, Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, and of course, the Dark Souls series. So here they're going open world, and we're just really excited to see how From Software approaches that. It can't just be typical cookie cutter open world, right? They definitely approach things differently, and we're excited to see how it goes here. To have that challenge, to have that intensity of this RPG gameplay plopped into an open world with the freedom to bounce around and find different dungeons, there's a lot of potential for a new type of fun in a very similar Dark Souls formula, so that's why we've definitely included it on a lot of our top 10 lists. Elden Ring is releasing finally February 25th, 2022. Now down to number 1, we have The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2. Now, still information on this one is slight. We really only have 2 teaser trailers, and so far it looks like...
I still have to finish the first Breath of the Wild. I just, I don't know what I'm doing on the Switch.
They're definitely expanding upon some of the gameplay concepts of the original game in terms of gadgets and puzzle solving, but we're also expecting a new area. Is it going to be bigger? Maybe. There's all types of rumors and speculation about different timelines, different characters. We could speculate all day, but if you want us to just be honest with you, I don't know. It's a new Zelda game. We really liked Breath of the Wild, and they're making another one, and we're curious to see how they put a new spin on things, but we love Zelda, so yes, we're there.
So that should be good. I'm moving on to Intel GPUs, but then after that, I'm going to do some more geopolitical type stuff. I've got some stories from The Hill, Kim Iverson, the media blackout on the massive trucker freedom convoys that have been going on in Canada. It's not been reported on, and then I'll have also some Odyssey related videos on that topic, along with a few other things. There's Toronto's Worldwide Rally, protests, and some other stuff about some people in the Biden administration leaking stuff. What else? Bunch of things coming up. Let me get this Intel GPU info out of the way. Intel is coming out. Intel is coming out with their own discrete graphics cards. So, you know, like the NVIDIA's got their 3060, 3080, all that. Intel's coming out with their own discrete GPU, which is going to really help the market. It's going to help the gaming market, help crypto mining, PC industry in general. And they are saying that the 512 model for the Intel GPU could have performance close to a 3070 Ti. Let me get this loaded up.
You never know what you're going to get, but it's usually something to do with tech, so you kind of do know. Checkmate. Intel may finally stop torturing us and release their freaking Arc GPUs soon, and some new leaks might indicate what kind of performance we can expect. A recent Intel slide spotted on Twitter indicates a top-end SKU with 512 execution units and 16 gigabytes of VRAM on a 512GB per second bus. So this is going to be something fairly high performance, probably akin to something like the 3070 Ti from NVIDIA. I mean, there's a 3090, you know? Like, Intel, come on, get it together. How are you gonna make any money launching GPUs for poors?
Yeah, look at NVIDIA.
Going down the stack, we see models with 384 and 256 execution units, with 12 and 8 gigabytes of VRAM respectively, AMD, which would probably compete with the RTX 3060 and 3050. Keep in mind that these are laptop GPUs we're talking about, AMD, but there will also be desktop cards on the way. Deep breaths, happy thoughts.
Stay calm, Anthony. It's gonna be okay. Is AMD in the room right now?
I don't know. Major cryptocurrencies took an absolute...
All right, moving on. Check out Kim Iverson, media blackout on the massive trucker freedom convoy protesting vax mandates. I've seen some videos out of Canada. People are going out in really frigid temperatures, -40, to show their support for the truckers in Canada. So we'll check that out.
Your radar. Well, the various anti-mandate protests around the world have been getting little to no coverage, even though thousands upon thousands have been taking to the streets all across Europe each and every week. Now, Robbie covered the anti-mandate protests that happened in D.C. over the weekend, although maybe not the way I would have covered it, but nonetheless. But I do want to tell you about another protest happening right now just across the border in Canada. On Sunday, a protest in the form of a massive convoy of truckers kicked off in British Columbia with cheering crowds lining the streets and filling up overpasses. It's unknown exactly how many truckers are taking part in this convoy, but the estimated number is 35,000 to 50,000 trucks, with more trucks joining in as the convoy makes its way across Canada. And in many of the towns they pass through, crowds are waiting in sub-zero temperatures cheering them on. Some are even giving out cookies. The ultimate destination is Ottawa, where the truckers and their supporters intend to protest the Trudeau government over their newly implemented cross-border vaccine mandates. The Canadian cross-border vaccine mandate applies only to truckers who move goods across the U.S.-Canadian border. Truckers who stay inside of Canada are not subject to this. The new rule, which took effect January 15th, requires all truckers be vaccinated or, if Canadian, quarantined for 14 days upon arrival in Canada. If you're not Canadian and not vaccinated, you cannot enter the country. The Canadian government estimates about 10 to 15% of their trucking population is unvaccinated.
I mean, they just want to clog up. They want to create supply shortages. I mean, that's what this is going to lead to. And you've got hundreds of thousands, now millions of people coming in through the southern border of the United States. None of them are checked for COVID vaccination. Not being even checked at all. They're just leaving the border wide open.
Of course, now that the definition of what is fully vaccinated could be changed to include boosters, my guess is that number would increase significantly. And that's an important point to remember when looking not only at this protest, but every other anti-mandate protest going on around the world and here in the U.S. People are realizing that even if they were all about getting the vaccine and did their 2 doses and perhaps even vaccinated their kids, they could then be coerced into this new moving of the goalposts to include boosters. And they're not thrilled with that idea. A lot of people who are fully vaccinated are becoming quote unquote anti-vaxxers and joining these protests because they're not willing to be coerced into what could end up being bi or even tri-annual mandates. The Canadian truckers aren't only protesting the Canadian government's cross-border mandate rule, they're also protesting the U.S.'s same mandate, which prohibits unvaccinated foreign truckers from crossing into the States. The convoy intends to stay in Ottawa until the Canadian government drops the mandate and until the Canadian government asks the U.S. to do the same. Canadian grocery stores are already feeling the effects of this supply chain disruption on top of what has already been supply chain problems. Some stores are reporting a shortage, but most are saying that they're getting the goods, they're just coming in at a much higher price, which isn't welcome when prices are already soaring. Now, what's interesting about this convoy is it's getting hardly any coverage at all inside of Canada or really anywhere. It's a near media blackout, which oddly seems to be the same thing happening in Europe and even here in the States in regards to all of the other protests. The convoy hasn't. It's kind of odd because truckers drive every day. I mean, that's their job. So I'm not sure how protesting by driving is interfering with any public safety. And of course, there's those looking to demonize and discredit the protest by claiming those who are participating are alt-right or anti-vaxxers. Gerald Butts, the former principal secretary to Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, called the group separatists. So now people on social are equating the group to terrorists, which seems to be where we're at these days. Anyone protesting anything at all, be it police brutality, masking kids, election outcomes, and vaccine mandates, is now a radical terrorist in some form. I do want to read part of this statement that was released from the convoy. Quote, "The trucking convoy is not anti-vaccination. It is anti-government mandates. Many of us are vaccinated. We simply believe that every Canadian should be free to choose and face no discrimination or restrictions on their freedom due to their choice. The Canadian Trucking Alliance is a spineless private organization that does not speak for us. No more lockdowns, no forced vaccination. And yes, if it is forced, it is forced when you choose between a shot you don't want and your ability to feed yourself. Truckers will..."
All right, moving on. I'm going to get back to the trucker protest, but I want to check out this video from Rebel News. I'm not sure if this is related to trucker rally or not, but I check out Rebel News a lot. They have they do a lot of great reporting out of Canada. They cover a lot of stuff that gets overlooked by mainstream outlets.
I've been to rallies before, but this one it's getting bigger now.
We're seeing the narrative
narrative turning within our own community, which is encouraging.
I think we need to stand up, finally. Enough is enough. You know, it started with 2 weeks to slow the spread. We're 2 years later, nothing's changed, it's gotten worse.
Catherine Krasnowski here for Rebel News. I am in Queen's Park, Toronto right now at the Worldwide Freedom Rally. There are thousands of people here today. So many different races, ages, there's kids, there's a couple dogs. They're wearing coats, don't worry. Maxime Bernier is here. There are some other speakers as well. The crowd is huge. They're really fired up, but they're positive and friendly, and it's a good vibe today. So we're going to talk to some people and see what brought them out here today. And specifically, I want to know, are people feeling optimistic about the change in narrative that we're seeing from politicians across the world? So let's go and see what people have to say. Can I ask you what brought you out here?
Freedom. An end to the lockdowns, hopefully.
You sound so crazy.
Well, we're here to support the cause because we feel that all of our freedoms have been taken away.
Freedom brought me out here today.
That's what a lot of people are saying. So are you feeling optimistic about the trajectory of things?
Definitely, I think the narrative's changing. This is actually our first rally ever.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people have been out here, so we're glad to join the crowd.
It's so refreshing to be out here.
All right, so there it is. Toronto's Worldwide Rally for Freedom.
It's
Gonna
important.
Go back to Skater Boy here, Justin Trudeau, and the big convoy, the trucker convoy. And this is from Global News. So Global News is one of the big mainstream outlets in Canada, so that they are reporting on it now, I guess. But let's see what kind of spin they put on it.
To underline that close to 90% of truckers in this country are vaccinated, like close to 90% of Canadians. Over the past many months and years now, Canadians have stepped up to protect each other, to protect our frontline workers, to protect our elders, to protect our young people, to protect people like truckers who are putting food on our grocery store shelves. Canadians have stepped up to do the right thing to protect the freedoms and the rights of Canadians to get back to the things we love to do. We know the way through this pandemic is by getting everyone vaccinated. And the overwhelming majority, close to 90% of Canadians, have done exactly that. The small fringe minority of people who are on their way to Ottawa or who are holding unacceptable views that they're expressing do not represent the views of Canadians who have been there for each other, who know that following the science and stepping up to protect each other is the best way to continue to ensure our freedoms, our rights, our values as a country.
This is Dan Dix here reporting for Press for Truth, and in just a few days from now, ladies and gentlemen, the largest convoy in human history will be arriving at Parliament Hill in Ottawa, and this has the Trudeau government shaking in its boots. Small fringe? Unacceptable views? Yeah, I think the nearly 80,000 people who donated over $6 million isn't exactly fringe. This is a movement and is not going away anytime soon. Now, on the surface, Trudeau thinks this is just a fringe minority with unacceptable views. But behind the scenes...
We can't have anyone freak out there, okay? We've got to keep our composure. We've gone too far. There's too much to lose. We've got to keep our composure.
In an effort to dodge the Freedom Convoy bullet, Trudeau has sadly and quite pathetically resorted to this. Last night, I learned that I have been exposed to COVID-19. My rapid test result was negative. I'm following Ottawa health rules and isolating for 5 days. I feel fine and will be working from home. Stay safe, everyone, and please get vaccinated. The man is triple vaxxed, says he feels quite fine, and is now going to be isolating for the entire weekend all the way through till Tuesday, quite conveniently. But guess what? If you're scared of something and you just hide and close your eyes, it doesn't make it go away. And when it comes to Justin Trudeau thinking about supply chain issues, this is the level of intellect we're dealing with here. Bread goes in, toast comes out. But where does the bread go? Anytime a large number of freedom lovers come together to make a significant change like this, you're going to get troublemakers showing up. And more often than not, they are agent provocateurs working for the state in an attempt to delegitimize and undermine a perfectly legitimate, peaceful protest. I've documented how this works in 3 of my documentary films, showing exactly how they embed their own aggressive agents into the mix to start stirring up trouble in an effort to give the police an excuse to shut the entire thing.
Agent provocateurs. Where have we seen this in the United States? Wow. We've seen it in quite a few places.
Down.
At one point, the police were even caught infiltrating the protest by 3 giant, muscle-bound, supposedly anarchists wearing masks and holding rocks. They're threatening to throw the rocks at the police.
No! Put the rock down, man!
A union leader stepped up and said, "Take off your masks, put down those rocks, you're not with us."
You're a fucking cop, the 3 of you! Go on, it's our line! These 3 guys are cops, everybody!
Eventually, they ripped the masks off the guys, and the guys dove behind the police line. And that was all. It was caught on tape. It was exposed. They were exposed as infiltrators because they were wearing the same boots as the officers who arrested them. Plus, of course, who dives behind a police line for protection if you're a protester? It's something that most protesters would be scared to do, to dive into a bunch of police who are there, menacingly, staring at them.
As we confirmed yesterday, the 3 people in question were indeed Sûreté du Québec police officers performing their duties.
So we have to be prepared for agent provocateurs who may be placed in Ottawa in order to undermine and discredit thousands and thousands of legitimate, peaceful protesters. Trucker convoy reaches Ontario amid fears of violence from fringe groups in Ottawa. The trucker convoy making its way across Canada in protest of federal vaccine mandates has arrived in Ontario amid concerns of a violent rally in Ottawa. This is fake news, ladies and gentlemen. No one is threatening violence. There's a few opportunist grifters out there who will say this is all about shutting down the Capitol, but that isn't true. They're also wondering if this is going to end up like a 6th of January situation in the US, which is completely unfounded, insane, and totally untrue. So many angry people. Experts say online conversation around trucker convoy veering into dangerous territory. As a growing group of truckers and supporters make their way to Ottawa in a protest against vaccine mandates, experts say the rhetoric online concerning the convoy is getting increasingly worrisome. The group of truckers and concerned citizens began a cross-country trip to Ottawa over the weekend in protest of vaccine mandates in the country. The group expects to arrive in Ottawa this Saturday. The movement has since gathered steam nationwide as videos show highway gatherings in support of the truckers, but some experts worry the online conversation surrounding the convoy has veered into dangerous territory. There are people who genuinely believe that this is overreach by the federal government, but there are also a lot of other groups that are involved and individuals who are involved who have a long history of overheated rhetoric. Kurt Phillips, founder and former lead writer for Anti-Racist Canada, told CTVnews.ca in a recent phone interview.
All right, so that's Press for Truth on Odyssey. Definitely check him out. I think he is banned now on YouTube. And I posted his Odyssey video, and you can get the channel also off that link.
The
Moving
government.
on, this is actually... This is I believe, the same video, well, similar to the Westchester County Airport video I showed with legal immigrants. What happens? So I'm just going to skip that Tim Pool video. Pretty much I've covered that on an earlier YouTube video. Wanted to check out a little bit of the Dark Horse podcast. This is Brett Weinstein. He has his other brother, and I forget his name, but they're both are well known in the intellectual dark web, I guess. New term that has come about in the past 5-10 years. They are part of the intellectual dark web, and Brett has moved his channel over to Odyssey. I don't think he's doing much on YouTube anymore due to censorship. So let's check out a little bit of this. What happens next with the public health tyrants from live stream number 112.
Most of the people who have been paying attention to the better, more predictive, dissident narrative about public health and COVID are having the sense of, okay, well, Omicron swept in and it took the pandemic out of the public health tyrants' hands, right? It effectively handed us something that couldn't be controlled and wasn't killing very many people. And that has brought us to a place that feels like it could be the end of the pandemic. Now, I will say some people who are well positioned to think about these things have warned about what might emerge next. I don't yet know what to think about that, but let's just say, assuming that we do not have a next variant that kicks this into some other phase that we haven't yet thought about, sure, right? This does look like, well, probably the end of something, because so many people are getting this, vaccinated and not vaccinated, that at some level, to the extent that natural immunity is a decisive factor, right, we're going to reach herd immunity quickly because it's racing through the population. So with that said, the point is, all right, mandates are coming down because people can see that mandates don't really make any sense, right? What are you mandating? You're mandating a vaccine that doesn't prevent people from contracting the disease, doesn't prevent them from transmitting it, doesn't reduce viral load. On what basis are you doing that? And they will say, well, because it reduces hospitalizations. Well, even if that's true for young, healthy people, that is no reason to mandate, right? Are you protecting me from me by locking me in my house and firing me from my job? That doesn't seem like it's very likely to actually be coherent, right?
I'm kind of not feeling protected here.
Right. Maybe. Right. So the point is the absurdity of the mandates and really what has happened is that Omicron has revealed what we have been saying all along, which is that something else is driving this, right? They swear it's being driven by a desire to protect civilization. And the point is, at the point that makes no sense, they still want to do it. But
they still want to do it. And I know you're going somewhere, but I think this is a good place to just show this. I saw this on Twitter today, Zach, if you would show it. Nobody said you wouldn't get COVID if you're vaccinated. We keep on being told. Like, just, constant gaslighting by these people. And so this woman has put together just a few places where, of course, they said that you wouldn't get COVID if you're vaccinated. Here we have from Joe Biden on July 21st of last year on CNN. You're not going to get COVID if you have these vaccinations. From Walensky, the director of the CDC, on March 29th on MSNBC of last year. Vaccinated people do not carry the virus. Don't get sick. Fauci, the NIAID director, on May 17th of last year on MSNBC. When people are vaccinated, they can feel safe. They will not be infected. And Fauci again, of the vaccines on May 17th, again last year, they're really, really good against variants. All of these things are untrue.